welcome to the Irene Podcast. Today we have with us Jennie from Men Counseling, and I'm going to have her introduce herself and just tell a little bit about herself and what she does and why she does what she does.
I'm a clinical mental health therapist, and I've been in the mental health field for now over 20 years, really specializing and focusing on complex trauma and nervous system healing, so a lot of somatic therapy. And with that, with complex trauma, come all different kinds of cases, definitely stemming from abuse of all different kinds and really hard things that can happen in life. So we really focus our practice on that complex trauma piece. But the thing that's great about our team at Men Counseling as well is that we have a lot of experienced therapists that can handle complex trauma, but also anxiety, depression. It's like living in a tough time right now. And there's a lot of mental health splintering. And so we house a group practice where you can connect to experienced therapists. And for me, my development came long ago when I picked up a book from Bessel van der Kolk. It's called The Body Keeps Score. And it was really, really impactful to me. And I said, this is going to be the future of mental health, is that we're not just going to relieve the tension of what's happening in the mind, is we're going to have to also help people unwind from what's happened in the body, the mind, the spirit.
I've heard of that book before, and I think it's fascinating when you dig into that and realize like a lot of your physical ailments are because of emotional. Yeah. They have an emotional root.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of people, and you can see this in the medical model, and I think that shifting is that you're going to see also the medical industry start wrapping around more what I would call somatics, and also get more warmth back in medicine, is because people are demanding it. And when it comes to physiology, our cardiovascular system doesn't operate independent of our respiratory system and our endocrine system. They're systems that are all in sync with each other that operate automatically. So does our mental body and our emotional body and our physical body. And the fact that we ever decided to extrapolate them working independently, you can have a really hard event, and inevitably that emotional and somatic debris will get caught up in the fascia and the very physiological system of your body. And I'm also a structural bodywork therapist. I have 2 licenses, and in working on bodies, thousands at this point, inevitably the body keeps score. It is a big recording device, and it will help you remember what happened to it. Now, the beautiful thing is that you can take an activating event, and if you heal and repair your nervous system, and you can connect to the truth of today, if it's there, is that I can be safe and that I am safe. So what happened to me then wasn't safe, but I'm safe today. If you can let your body get to that place and you can unwind, then eventually a memory just becomes, you're not erasing memories, right? But that a memory stops having all the activation and then taking up all this room in your life energy as it maintains hypervigilance around the trauma while it's still trying to live in the present day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love how you said that. I'm a true believer in doing all of the work, because I can talk about my trauma and I don't have that physical response anymore.
Yeah.
Because of the steps I've made over the last 30 years. Because some of it took me a long time to get over, or to get work through.
Yeah.
And can you touch a little bit more on what somatic means for people who might not understand that term?
Yep. So somatic therapy is steeped in what we call felt sense. So if we got into a helicopter crash, or let's say a car crash, and let's say that you hit your seatbelt and you had some physical injuries, what you're also and then you survived afterward, your body's going to go into shock. It's shaking because it's trying to slough off all that trauma energy. Like, something scary happened to us, we survived. Now let's say that every time you try and get into a car after that, you start to panic, because now cars aren't safe. And you start to put that seatbelt on, and now that felt sense of the seatbelt and hitting the seatbelt really hard is now reminding you of this really scary thing that happened. And the body is just like, we don't know if we're safe. And you're like, that happened 5 years ago. And if we didn't unwind it and help also release the tension that's also in the somatic, the physical body, along with the mental body and our emotional body, there's just stores there. And so now we're having this problem with cars, and everyone's just like, get in the car. And like, I can, but and so logic doesn't make sense in these moments, because the activation is born in an old memory that still hasn't had a chance to unwind and reclaim safety. And so that's what somatic therapy is that it's a process of helping reclaim safety in the nervous system while we honor window of tolerance at a pace that the client can manage, right? Because if we blow through someone's window of tolerance, then all we're doing is we're part of re-injuring or the part of the injury, versus if we maintain pace and window of tolerance, we can help create healing, and then that nervous system can achieve equilibrium. Then you get in a car, put the seatbelt across your chest, and even though the memory's there, it's not with the activation. So now a seatbelt's just a seatbelt.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the heart of somatic therapy, is that it takes those activations that are happening in our nervous system that are shaking, that are like, we're not safe, and they're saying, actually, today we are safe. Yeah. Today cars can be safe. And you still might have a imprint in your system like cars are never safe. It's like, cannot be safe, but today they can be safe. And not because you can predict that you'll never get in a car wreck again, but you don't want to live in a world where you can't get in a car.
Yeah.
And that's just a mild example of trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine like something you do every day in your life bringing on that feeling just because of something that happened to you when you were in a messy relationship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You were physically hurt by somebody.
Yeah.
Trying to get back to where you feel safe, even though that person's not around. Because sometimes, at least for me, sometimes I would just remember things and it would take me right back. And all the feelings and emotions were there just from remembering something and actually being in a similar situation, but just the thoughts.
Yeah. It's like the here's how I kind of describe it, is the psyche does a really good job of taking an event and putting kind of like a box around it. It's kind of our neural networks. And it can do that for joy. And that's why sometimes we can remember, that was my favorite Christmas. Or, oh my God, that was my favorite birthday. It does it one way or the other. It does it either way. So when it's encapsulating trauma, it's going to create an emotional prison of that, and that's activating and it does that in a survival way of, we never want to be in this situation again because it was so painful and hurtful. And so it creates this hypervigilance in the system, which later when we're trying to live, like we're not in those situations, we're not exposed to danger, and our nervous system wants to relax. It's what if, and I don't know, and that smell just made me remember when I was in here, and it's the system that was designed to help keep you safe and compartmentalize at times then becomes a leaky container of that trauma. And that's why you want to gently and carefully, trauma work, you have to be careful because you don't want to again re-injure someone, is to touch those things and go, hey, it's like taking let's say that someone had trauma when they were 7. It's like finding that 7-year-old and going, hey, we're 30 now and it's safe here. And the 7-year-old's going, I don't know. And then we help, and that's what integration eventually is from trauma work, is to go, okay, I wasn't safe then. I'm spending time with this. That's a parts work we do. That 7-year-old, helping them understand that I'm here for you. I'm witnessing your pain. We're understanding like what happened. And now we're integrating and bringing you, kind of opening melting that prison of trauma and bringing them into the present moment where they can integrate and go, okay, that can just now be an event that has no activation.
Yeah. So in your experience, have you seen maybe some of that trauma when they were younger lead them into these relationships that are unsafe because they don't understand how that trauma is actually pushing them towards that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it's like these bookmarks, right? And that's connected to attachment and secure attachment versus afraid attachment or insecure attachment. And that's a tough thing about trauma with kids. It's insidious in that it also interrupts patterning. It interrupts healthy development. It interrupts, especially from 0 to 7, our kids are looking for a sense of safety in the world. And first and foremost is built with their caregivers. Yeah. Did I get what I needed when I needed attention or I was crying? Were my basic needs taken care of, but was I also loved and nurtured? And even if they got upset with me or in trouble, there was repair. And when you build a secure attachment, a kid can launch into the world feeling very secure and grounded. When that's ruptured with a kid, they don't know how to do relationships. And so sometimes an unhealthy relationship, a dynamic can feel really good, and they can be in the most unhealthy thing ever because there was a moment that felt good. Yeah. You're operating in a deficit. And so that deficit is riding shotgun, right? Is driving the car. And that deficit isn't necessarily caring about what's healthy. Right. It's caring about what covers the deficit, what helps overcome the deficit. And if you haven't ever experienced a secure attachment, then all you know is disorganized attachment. Right. And so then you tend to attract people that are also disorganized attached, or you make yourself vulnerable to attract people into your life that then capitalize on the vulnerability and are very toxic.
That almost prey on it because they see that in you, and then they go, oh,
I can control you.
Do what I want in this situation because this person doesn't know how harmful I am.
Yeah. And oftentimes when you talk about intimate partner violence, like when there are people in relationships that start hurting, they get hurt. Because I've been on both sides of the coin. I've worked with the victims of intimate partner violence and domestic violence and those that are offenders. And you look at some of the offenders and they have never really been taught emotional regulation skills. A big part of when I taught the class, I did it for over 5 years, it was an anger management class. And a big part of that wasn't just managing your anger, it was emotional regulation skills and emotional intelligence. Even teaching someone a skill, I want you to take 3 to 5 seconds before you react. I had one of my classes practice that. So I had, it was 2/3 men, 1/3 women. They were separated, because there's typically more male violent offenders than there are women, just kind of historically. And I had them all do this assignment, and they all came back and were like, I cannot believe how much 3 to 5 seconds made a difference in my responses. Because if you can slow the brain down and you can get out of the reactivity, you can then access cognition and rational thought, and then you can have better responses.
Yeah, so a response instead of a reaction. I think sometimes people don't realize that those are two totally different things. Because when you're reacting, it's just like instant. But when you're responding, you take that time.
Yeah.
And then you respond. And that's kind of like what we kind of use Irene for, is put in your text message into Irene and let her help you respond in a healthier way. So it's like we're trying to help teach people, look, you don't have to respond in the same energy that you get to respond how you want to respond. And you can take all that power back for yourself when you take that time to just respond and just be clear and brief and informative and just, this is it.
I like your guys' app because you're using AI as a tool, right? It's not replacing therapy. It's not replacing community or resources, but it's becoming a tool and a resource to say, oftentimes people in domestic violence situations, they are snowed and railroaded by the abuse and the constant attacks. Even if it's not getting physically hurt, verbal abuse and that wearing down, that gaslighting, like it's corrosive. And so you just feel like you're drowning.
Yeah.
And so how neat is it to be able to say, I'm drowning here. I don't even know what to say. This text is horrible. Yeah. Plug that in. Help me say something, because we teach people how to treat us by the way we respond, what we do and we don't do. Yeah. And boundaries teach respect in relationships. Yeah. And if you're still not able to, if you've not created the separation that probably needs to happen if you're getting hurt in a relationship terribly, then these outlets can embolden and strengthen. It's scaffolding to say, I don't have to be treated this way. And I have now the words to say how I feel, and then I can create some of the safety nets that if I were to say this and they were to react, I can buffer myself, create the safety nets, deliver it through a text, not be home. So reducing injury and exposure to being harmed. But it's an incredible intuitive tool to build that scaffolding. And ultimately too, of like, also how do I eventually get myself out of these situations if there is no end in sight? Because it's scary to leave. And we had talked about this earlier before we started this, is financial scarcity is a huge, huge barrier to people leaving violent situations.
Especially when you have children.
Because oftentimes with the violence is also financial abuse. Yeah. You're lucky sometimes if you can go spend $5 at the grocery store, and why did you spend this other $5? Like, it was for our kid. You know what I'm saying? Like the constant justification when you're just drowning. Yeah. Yeah. So this kind of an app says, hold on and say this, and it's beautiful. It's beautifully built.
Yeah, thank you. A lot has gone into it, a lot of thought, we don't want it just to be like, okay, this is this. We want it to help heal. So if somebody goes into chat and says, this is what he said, this is how I'm feeling, like I'm just spiraling right now, what she'll tell them is she'll say, go outside and go for a walk, or she'll
get grounded.
She'll do like the box breathing or whatever, just to help you just like calm down your nervous system, so then you can have a clear mind to continue to use Irene to help you to figure out, okay, how can I get further and further away from this mess that I'm in? Yeah. But also feel like I'm empowering myself to do that. Because that's our ultimate goal with Irene, is to help men and women to feel empowered. Yeah. And that they don't have to stay in that situation, and no matter what it is, and no matter how hard it feels to leave, that leaving sometimes is the best option if it's real, real, real bad. Yeah. Nobody deserves to be in that situation. And those statistics,
yeah, when you look at, I'll share this. Yeah, when you look at the statistics, it's staggering. Just to source it, the data from the CDC's National Intimate Partner and Sexual Violence Surveys. Okay, and just to give your audience a sense, this is incredibly underreported. So this is, maybe we're lucky if we got 50% data here. And it's still staggering. You have 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men exposed to violent, intimate partner violence. And then over 6 women are killed by partners daily in the U.S. by someone they know. 1 would be too many, let alone 6. And it's staggering. The other one that blew me away was a woman is assaulted and beaten every 9 seconds in the U.S. with millions of incidences annually. So you think that's
again, probably less than 50% reported. So
Right.
we could even double those and be closer to the truth,
yeah,
I think.
100%. And that's why you to have a tool in your pocket. Like someone can come see me every week. They're certainly not going to necessarily see me 5 days a week unless they're in a higher level of care trauma program. Most people can't afford those. So if you're using your insurance and you're seeing me once a week and we're doing some good brainstorming and we're building the scaffolding and we're helping ground you, this is a great pocket tool to say, I'm drowned. I can't see my therapist till Friday. I'm going to go over all this, but I need something now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing that Irene can do is help when they come to therapy. They can journal while they're in Irene, and they can log their journals.
That's
and then
cool.
they can go to therapy and be like, okay, this is what happened this week, and we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what to do in XYZ situation, but I know that you can help me know what to do in the future.
Yeah. And when you ask about somatic therapy, one of the things that you already just said, even the 2 suggestions that Irene gave to, hey, before I help you with some of this, just go get yourself grounded. That's somatic therapy. Taking a walk, getting things to calm down, getting the volume button down on the anxiety, the emotional storm you're going in, getting your head clear, and then the box breathing. Those are somatic tools to go, my nervous system's overwhelmed. Let me get connected to and attuned to my body. Let me get rational thinking back online, and then we can now problem solve. And now here are some suggestions. So that's all somatic therapy in real time that your app is suggesting to then help get to these places where there's solutions.
Yeah.
There's assertive communication. There's resourcing safety, which is huge in domestic violence. And
Yeah.
the re-exposure to injury, whether it's mental, financial, emotional, or physical abuse, it's too high.
Yeah. Yeah. Way
Yeah.
too high.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, there would be none, because we don't need physical abuse for anything. There's no time when physical abuse is appropriate in a relationship with somebody that you love and care about.
That's
That
what I
they're
taught.
supposed to love and care about you.
Yeah. That's what I taught is if it's, people are going to get mad. We're never going to stop being mad. It's actually so human to be upset. And this is one of the things I taught. Anger is a cue. And if you're just reacting and putting your hands on someone or over exploding on someone and verbally abusing them, then you've blown through the cue, because anger is a cue to say there's an injustice. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. Anger never rides the bus alone. I'm angry because I'm sad. I'm angry because I'm disappointed. I'm angry because there was an injustice against me. So anger is the cue. If you're an emotionally intelligent human, if you've grown your emotional intelligence and your emotional regulation skills, you're going to take that cue and you're going to go, I'm mad, but why? Instead of I'm mad, blah, and these explosions. And it's incredibly immature. And so when you're an adult not wielding those skills, and I would have people be like, this is just how I am. Like, no, it's not. That's an excuse. That's not accountable. You can learn these skills. The neuroplasticity in the brain is been proven. Like anyone can learn these skills. You can be 40 and learn better emotional regulation skills. You just have to want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, I want women and men to know that you're never stuck in your situation. Like, it's never, this is what I get, or this is what I deserve, or this is, like, it's, to leave would be too much. No. If your safety is at risk, it's never too much to leave. It's never not okay to leave.
Yeah.
It's always okay to leave, even if it's just for an hour
Yeah.
to let things cool down so you can have a conversation. But the other thing that I encourage people to do that are in a relationship that maybe they're struggling with communication is use Irene to help you communicate.
Sure.
Say you and your husband were texting back and forth and it wasn't pretty. Take a screenshot, put it in Irene,
Yeah.
and let her analyze both of you and see maybe where, like, what kind of language you're using with each other and why it's hurting your spouse. Because sometimes when we're in that situation long enough, we not respond, but we react
Oh, yeah.
to the energy we're given.
Oh, for
right?
sure. It's just like 2 matches and then gasoline.
Yeah.
And anything that can help slow you down. And that's why, like, taking a time out and then you got to time back in at times, even if the time in is 2 days later. Okay. Because you don't want to time out and then ghost, because that's equally confusing to the nervous system. But better to withdraw than hurt each other.
Yeah.
So many times where I teach people, like, I'm getting really upset. I'm starting to not be able to say anything nice right now. So I need to stop. You're just being ridiculous. It's like that other person needs to take the cue and go, okay, I want to finish this conversation, and let's do it in a place where always care is guiding the relationship. My care for you, my love for you. And that's the problem sometimes with intimate partner violence, is sometimes the care has eroded so much so that it's just easy to hurt each other, not just physically, which is terrible in all the ways. I don't care what I say. I don't care if it hurts. I want it to. I can't wait to throw these barbs at you. And or someone's been worn down so much and they've taken it. We teach people how to treat us that it's, I don't know anything else and I don't know what to say. So you're drowning over there and they just keep being verbally abusive and hammering away at your self-esteem, so much so that you're like, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
That's why when people say just leave, it's really not that easy. If it was 2 + 2 = 4 and just leave, everybody would do it more. You wouldn't have these people. You actually wouldn't need domestic violence shelters because you could just be like, yeah, I'm going to leave. What's been happening is over time, oftentimes a psychic attack that has worn down people's self-value and self-worth. And to reclaim that, like you said, it takes sometimes months and years to say, wow, I really eroded my self-esteem and I need to get that back. And so it's time under tension, to the rate that this pressure and tension's on top of you, to the rate that you get outside of it. And again, there's so many factors, economics, right? Your ability to take care of yourself, your ability to resource and have resources. That's why places like the Dove Center are great, because it's, hey, there's a safe place.
Yeah.
And let's help you reset and let's help you resource. But even then, you can't live there forever. So what are you going to do if you decide to go and you need to build more skills and then you can get voc rehab? You know what I'm saying? It's like, we need community. We need a village to help us heal, because people won't get out of those situations if they can't resource, if they don't have resources and community and help.
Yeah. And that's one thing I've heard a lot, because once women find out, men and women, but I usually am talking to women, but once they find out what we do, I get stories after stories after stories that are heartbreaking. And sometimes they think, yeah, I for a long time I thought I just deserved it because I didn't fall in line. I didn't
terrible person. Yeah, I'm just the worst wife ever. Husband. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do the things that he needed me to do, and so because I wasn't doing the things I needed to do, this is how I was treated. But what they don't understand is there's a way that you can communicate with your spouse in a healthy way. To like, okay, yeah, say I'm falling behind on some of the things that I know I should be doing as a wife or as a mother, but why? Why am I falling behind? Why am I feeling like I'm not doing enough? Sometimes it's because we have so much we're dealing with that's just too much.
Yeah. And none of that should ever be met with abuse. We didn't get in relationships to then tear them apart. And so there's a gross taking advantage of somebody's goodwill to then be so abusive. And it's a lack of skill set for the other person. They have got to learn better skills. No one goes into relationships hoping to just get hurt every day. And so
you don't want to get hurt ever.
Yeah.
At first.
Well,
that's not why you would ever get in that relationship.
And that's what's tough too, is sometimes you'll have, again, it's women and men, but especially women will be like, at least I'm not getting hit. I'm like, that's still abuse. Like, you're still fielding a lot of abuse. And it's not okay. But then it's like this, but I'm not getting hit. Let me just help you understand just how much abuse and your system will not keep up with it. Your nervous system can only stand so much tension before it snaps. Yeah. It's like a rubber band. You can pull it. I don't care what rubber band it is. You could be like, this is the toughest rubber band in the world. You put enough tension on that, it will snap. It just may take longer. It's everybody's level of resilience, but if you get enough tension, it's going to snap.
Yeah. And then you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because there's no other alternative than right in that moment to deal with it. Otherwise, you're just a crumbled mess. You're spiraling. You can't function. I had a woman on our podcast recently, and she was just talking about how she just was numb to everything because there was so much going on from her past that she was dealing with it. She couldn't even cognitively.
It's just an autopilot.
Think about what was going on. She scraped up the whole side of her car, and she couldn't be like, "Oh man, I just scraped up my car." She's like, because she had just so much heavy stuff from her past that she was just. That was bubbling to the surface. Yeah. But then she had to deal with it. And then she's come out the other side, this most beautiful, amazing woman, because she did the work. Yeah. She figured out, I can't live like this. I'm a mother. I have an amazing husband, beautiful children. I need to figure out how to get rid of this so that I can be my true, authentic self.
That's the hopeful thing, right? Is that the nervous system and just like you'd be hard pressed to not get an injury that can't be healed in this day and age. Yeah. It would have to be pretty terrible. And that's kind of the really sad part of intimate partner violence, that oftentimes what doesn't get healed is lethal. They're gone. They're dead. But outside of that, if they can get away from the abuse, the nervous system and the system as a whole can heal. And that's the hopeful piece. If you'll do the work and you'll get connected to the resources, our body's an intuitive vessel, and it is designed to heal once it's been hurt, if we let it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to do a little hard work and a little pushing to get to that place. Like we have to kind of
It's hard work. Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like there's 5 layers of other crap on top of it that we have to peel through to get to that root that really started all of this. Like you said, the box, I think sometimes we shove more and more into that box.
Yeah.
Until it's like bursting at the seams. There's no more space for it.
Yeah.
Now you have to deal with it. And sometimes that's heavy, because sometimes at that point, when you haven't dealt with any of it, it just feels like the weight of the world is on top of you.
The tough thing sometimes too is oftentimes by the time we're feeling really stable in life, if we've been packing a lot of trauma, so hey, maybe now it's time to work on this. And so I just finally started to feel okay. And so that's why window of tolerance is really important when you're working with trauma. Is sometimes people, I just want to get over this. I'm like, okay, but we still need to pay attention to the pace that your body and your mind and your collective bodies want to go.
Yeah. Or
So
can
that-
handle.
100%. Or you're just shutting down this. You're just creating shutting down or explosiveness in the system. Because again, it's only going to handle. It's already been through a lot, and the gentle repair, the nervous system healing, is slow and not like, oh, it's going to take forever, but more it's slow and it's gentle, and it's saying, hey, like safety isn't. You're not going to have a little bunny in a hole, and because you want the bunny, you're going to take it by its ears and be like, get out of here. Or you're going to be like, hey, you're going to coax it.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing with nervous system healing repairs. You're coaxing it back into safety, brick by brick, layer by layer, at a pace that it goes, and it's also believable. Okay, it is safe, and I can feel grounded, and I can have healthy relationships, and I can do better if I leave a unhealthy relationship or a scary relationship. Now I know if I eventually do have another relationship, I'm going to ask what your attachment style is. I'm going to have a list of 10 questions now before I even do. I'm just going to be better. I'm going to be better armed for developing healthy relationships.
Yeah.
And some of the reasons that those unhealthy, like we talked about, are built is because of sometimes stuff that wasn't great in childhood. And it doesn't say that everyone who's had a terrible relationship had a terrible childhood or hard times in their childhood, because you can sometimes get really snowed by someone love bombing you, and you're like, this is the best relationship ever. And all of a sudden, I've had a lot of people be like, he was amazing, and the second we got married, he was terrible. So they just didn't see the other side, didn't really reveal itself until I gotcha.
Yeah.
You're bound now, and it's not, you can't leave marriage, but it's just a little bit harder if you're unless you're just instead of dating, right? It's interesting, the complex layers that are involved in when you start drilling down to what's created the environment for the abusive relationship. And some people were like, I had a great child, and I didn't know that I was with such an unhealthy partner, because they really didn't show that until now. Yeah.
And sometimes what I'm seeing in some of these situations that I hear about is the partner didn't even realize they were like that, because that was modeled to them from a parent their whole life.
Yeah.
So that's all they know. And then you have this other person who didn't have that modeled and doesn't even know that exists.
Yeah.
Come in, and then all of a sudden it's like the love bombing, but then there's these little things that they just kind of like go, oh,
that's normal. And people, I've had a lot of clients in my office that sometimes are like, that's normal. I'm like, hey, just so you know, it's not. Yeah. This isn't healthy behavior. So
common doesn't equal normal.
Yeah. Just because you're familiar with it doesn't mean that it's healthy and normal. Normal is such a relative term, so I'll say healthy. Just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's healthy.
I like that. I think it's important too to remember that even if something's happening to you, it's not your fault, and it doesn't mean that you deserve, and it doesn't mean that just because that happened to you that you should put up with it.
Right.
Like I want to teach my children, like, always, I'm a very intuitive person, and I've tried to teach my kids, like, your gut will always steer you correct. Listen to your gut. If you have a thought or a question or a doubt about something, really lean into that and go, why am I feeling like this? And why does this feel unsettling? Or why does this feel like I should make a different choice? Make that different choice. See what happens. Every time. I've never been wrong when I listen to my gut. That's
because our body's an intuitive vessel, and it will guide us. And if we attune to it, that attunement of, and again, that's the difference. That's emotional intelligence at play. Is I'm not just running an autopilot and I feel this, I feel that. I'm understanding why. I actually read this recently, that one of the things that's even of more greater value than even emotional intelligence is metacognition. And it's the understanding, not just of what's happening, but why it's the internal locus of control versus responding to external stimuli. And it's this digging of why and what's going on and why am I experiencing the world this way? It's this inner landscape of conversation that really even eclipses emotional intelligence. And I think to me then that it's its cousin. Yeah. Because emotional intelligence is fantastic, and if you do metacognition, and then you're doing these deep dives on yourself, and inevitably you're going to move from such a place of wisdom and groundedness, right? And then you're going to be really clear about the kind of relationships you want to develop, and who gets to earn your time. Yeah. And the people that earn your time should be the ones that truly have earned it, that don't just get it given to them because you're living in a deficit and you're feeling lonely. I may feel lonely, but I also want to make sure because again, sometimes those deficits attract unhealthy relationships. Yeah. It's like my need to not feel lonely. I just wanted to connect. And now that connection was good. But wait, I didn't actually make sure that this connection had good scaffolding. Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It might feel good on the surface, but then within a short amount of time you go, maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah. So the cool thing about Irene, you can plug all this stuff in. I played with the app. I was like, this is incredible. And we're entering the age of AI. Actually, I talked to my team about this today. It's good to understand how it's interfacing and impacting the mental health, because unfortunately there's too many people using ChatGPT in place of their therapists, and it's a tool, right? Used as a tool while you continue to resource community and connection. Because we don't heal in isolation, and you don't want a tool that only is come to me and I'm the only person, I'm the only one that can help you.
Well, right? And the other thing too that we like to point out about ChatGPT, not to interrupt you, is just that like you can manipulate ChatGPT
and it can manipulate you. Yeah, it's actually designed.
It'll give you the answers that you want to hear.
Yeah,
unlike a therapist who's going to tell you what you should, what you need to hear and what you need to do. ChatGPT will validate even if it's an awful, what's the word?
Suggestion?
Like an awful response or whatever to another person. ChatGPT just wants to reinforce, like,
it's a positive, it's a positive basis. Yeah. You want to be able to access truth, and you want to access soundness, and you also want to have something that's a tool that still connects you to people and community and your family, and not I'm the only thing, you don't need anything else. And that's kind of the danger of some AI experiences, and it is impacting the mental health. It's, like I said, it's a fantastic tool. And what I like about yours, you can have somebody in crisis that isn't going to see. Look, I have clients text me they're in crisis, and I can get in within 24, 48 hours, but I can't get it sometimes in that hour. Yeah. And so then they can go, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. I'm paralyzed. Give me some suggestions. And they're going to be sound suggestions. They're going to be, even if it starts with a somatic tool, go take a walk. And let's just get you to a space where you can clear your head. Because I always that's one of the things I taught in my class. Don't make decisions in these emotional heightened spaces. You'll make terrible decisions. Yeah. Like you look back and some of your most terrible decisions were made when you were emotionally
fight or flight
spiraling. You're like, that was a terrible decision because I was also way overly reactive and emotional, versus when you get grounded, you're like, oh, I made a more wisdom-based choice there. Yeah. Even when I taught that skill to the class with the 3 to 5 seconds, they came back with incredible stories. I usually would yell here and I usually blow up here. And do you guys see how even just one tool is teaching you all how to interface better in your lives? Yeah. They were starting to have better relations with their children. They were having much more better conversations with their spouses and their partners. 3 to 5 seconds, because it takes that long to diffuse. I say that long, 3 to 5 seconds. You guys can count 1, 2. It's not that long.
But it sounds like when you're in it, it feels like a long time.
But it's actually, so it's long, but it's short. And it then can get you to the more thoughtful place. And if you're in these kind of situations and there genuinely is love and it's just struggles with skills, learn the skills, so that then the win on the other side of that is I have way better connections with the people I love. I'm not hurting them anymore. Yeah. And you owe it to yourself to learn those skills. Yeah. So. Yeah. I can talk forever.
I know, I can too. I love this. Okay. So this week we want to challenge you to take one practice that you've learned in this podcast as far as grounding or box breathing. You can look those things up. Going outside, even without shoes, even in the winter, if you're not going to die and your feet aren't going to freeze off. But go outside and get your feet on the grass, get your feet on the ground, those kind of things. Take a walk, go for a walk just around the block, just around your neighborhood. Breathe. When when you feel like you're in this crazy, chaotic place in your mind, challenge yourself to do something to help ground you and reset your nervous system so that you can think more clearly, so that you can respond instead of react. And do something that to you is simple, easy, but also has a huge impact, sometimes words just leave.
But
It's the perimenopause.
yeah.
Yeah, you can edit that. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Jennie, for coming to the podcast and sharing your immense wisdom with us.
Yeah.
I'll have you back because there's so much more that we can talk
I
about
love
that
being
will
here.
help these
Yeah.
women and men, because we want to help everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The people who might be part of the problem,
Yeah.
even the people, like you said, the ones that are the offenders, we want them to have help too, because a lot of times they're coming from a place of that's all they know.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
we
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
your time and your wisdom.
Yeah.
And remember that healing begins with safety, and you can go at your own pace, but try every day to do something that helps bring you closer to that peace and happiness. We love you all, and God bless.